Peace. What's good? It's Boom Baptism. Just taking a stroll through the neighborhood. I read the comments on my post, which was legends who deserve a motion picture presentation. And I read some of the comments, and I left out a lot of names, and I just wanted to go through the list. I wrote another 25 names down that y'all should be aware of, or y'all should know that deserve a motion picture presentation. Hopefully you can hear me. There's cars passing me. I'm in my little neighborhood right here taking a walk or whatever. So I just wanted to address this real quick. So let's start with number one. And I want to shout out my man RL Polo Rugby Champ for bringing this up. You know what I mean? Making me aware. I missed this particular group. Shout out to him once again, RL Polo Rugby Champ. Shout out to you. Everybody go follow his page. But number one, Gangstar. I could damn near slap myself in the motherfucking face for getting them. They deserve a motion picture presentation. They definitely deserve one. And I would love to see, how they made it from, Guru Freeing from Boston and Premier being from Houston, and they can flash back and forth their individual lives or whatever. You know what I'm saying? I think that would be really, really dope. Just to see how they all came together and, their trials and tribulations. Just leave Solar out of it. You know what I mean? We can leave him out of it. But number two, shout out to Beats and Tapes. He brought this to my attention too. You know what I mean? Once again, shout out to Beats and Tapes. Go follow his page on Instagram, Slick Rick the Ruler. I think he deserves one too, a motion picture presentation, because, this is one of the top storytellers that there was or is in hip hop. And I would love to see, his humble beginnings in the Bronx, or even coming from London, from London and going to the Bronx or whatever. Even talk about his infamous shooting of his cousin who tried to extort him or whatever. I think that would be really, really dope, Number three. And I can't believe I forgot them too. But number three, the Boot Camp Clique. A lot of people don't know how they got together and how they all formed. And you got to give it to them. They started that whole Timberland boots and army fatigues and really put it on front page in hip hop, So you had Buckshot, not Buckshot, we'll say Black Moon, Smith & Wesson, Helter Skelter, OGC, and also the Representatives. All that was Boot Camp Clique, All that was Boot Camp Clique. So we got to give it up to them, Number four, we got to take it to Queens, and we got to give it to Onyx. Onyx, straight out of Jamaica, Queens, with that heavy metal, black rock and roll or heavy rock sound, we got to give it to them. They definitely were pioneers of what they do or whatever, and they did a lot for hip hop. So I like to give Onyx a shout out, and I think they deserve a motion picture, presentation, Number five, Cameron and Dipset. Now, there were three groups in 2005 that were holding it down, especially heavy on the mixtapes. And one of those groups was the Dipset, led by Cameron, So you got to give them, they props, because they were some real fly Harlem dudes. Cameron ushered in the little Pink movement. That was real bold of him to do that. And you just got to give him his props. He definitely is a pioneer in all of that. Next, G-Unit. Now, of course, 50 Cent has Get Rich or Die Trying, the movie that's based loosely on his life, but it could be a spinoff where they talk about G-Unit. How he formed G-Unit. It would start off with his rise to fame, and then, how him and Lloyd Banks and it would be flashbacks, Lloyd Banks and Tony Yayo and Young Buck, and how they all got up, and how they all, formed this heavy collective. Next, another one that held down the mixtape game and was doing their thing and had it on lock in NYC, the Locks. And if you go back to my last post when I said your favorite, some of your favorite groups or artists from the suburbs, well, we got to give it up to Yonkers' own The Lox. You know what I mean? Contrary to popular belief, yes, Yonkers is the suburbs outside of the Bronx. No matter how rugged they say it is, it's still a suburb outside of the Bronx. It's not a part of New York City. And yes, they held it down for their area where they were at. Shout out to The Lox. Next, number 8, Puff Daddy. Love him or hate him, you gotta give it to him. He's done a lot in hip hop. He's been a fighter. He's been through a lot. Give it up to P. Diddy, Puff Daddy. We give you roses while you can smell them. Number 9, Russell Simmons. Now that should be a movie made either before the Run DMC movie or after the Run DMC movie. But Russell Simmons definitely, he deserves a motion picture presentation because he's one of the pioneers of hip hop as well. And his name is left out of a lot of sentences. You know what I'm saying? A lot of sentences. So I want to shout out Russell Simmons, Fat Farm and all. Def Comedy Jam and all. Russell Simmons, you deserve a motion picture presentation. Next up, I'm going to take it to Florida. Now, everybody knows I'm a boom bap head. You all know I do the boom bap shit. But you know what? I'm not biased with this. We got to give it up to Luke Skywalker. Luke Skywalker brought that porno, nasty, freak, nasty shit, you know what I'm saying, to hip hop or whatever. Whether you enjoyed it or not, you like looking at the women in his videos. So come on, let's give it up to Luke. Luke definitely did his thing or whatever. And he's definitely a pioneer. 2 Live Crew and all of that. So they all got to be in his movie. Next, we're going to take this to Houston. And like I said, I'm not biased. So I'm mentioning everybody who's a legend. DJ Screw and the Screwed Up Click. Who the hell would think slowing down a damn record to like the slowest of the slow would become popular? But they drink that lean and everything slows down. And some of that shit is fly on certain songs. But you really got to be into the Houston culture to really understand it. But shout out to DJ Screw and the Screwed Up Click. Now I'm going to take you to the Bay Area, all right? I'm going to take you to the Bay Area. Now in the Bay Area, the Bay Area is very versatile with hip hop and what they do. So we got to give it up to Hieroglyphics, Dell, Casual, Souls of Mischief, the Shaman, and all of them. That whole collective, Domino, the whole collective of the Hieroglyphics or whatever, for being pioneers also in the independent game on the low. Because after they bad deals, they immediately went independent and they never turned back. So shout out to them. So now I want to take it to the Bronx, right? Now arguably, this is one of the biggest dudes in the Bronx. Was he the most lyrical at the time? Nah. But he got better over time. And I just want to give a shout out to Fat Joe. Fat Joe deserves a motion picture presentation, okay? And then, number 14, let's talk about his former crew, DITC, Let's talk about DITC, because I think DITC deserves their flowers where they can smell it, That's AG, Showbiz, Big L, OC, Buck Wild. All of them deserve a motion picture presentation. Right, got the kids playing basketball out there. They deserve a motion picture presentation. Fly houses out here. We in my adopted home city, my adopted city of Charlotte. You know what I mean? As always, shout out to Strong Island. You already know Freeport, Hempstead, Roosevelt. But yeah, DITC, man, they don't get mentioned enough, and I think a nice motion picture presentation on them would be really, really fly. Next up, number 15, the Fugees. Smoking all. I want to know all the details about the Fugees, their first album flopping, their rise to success, the issues with Lauryn Hill. Put all of that in the movie. I think that'd be dope, So next up, and I didn't have a lot of women. I don't think I had any women on the last one, but MC Lyte, come on, man, we gotta give her roses too. She needs a motion picture presentation. I think that'll really, 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 really be dope for her to be recognized or whatever, because you know females don't get their props in hip hop, you know. So shout out to MC Light. She was one of my favorites back in the day. You know what I mean? Let's do a motion picture presentation on her. Next, 17. This goes without saying. Queen Latifah. Come on, man. Jersey, stand up. Queen Latifah deserves a motion picture presentation. From rhyming and acting, which she's a natural at it. Queen Latifah held it down and she was super nice with it on the mic. 18. Big Pun. Now, we could do the DITC movie, then spin off do a Fat Joe movie, then spin off do a Big Pun movie. That'd be dope. That'd be dope. Put everything in it, all the details about Big Pun and his rise to fame, you know? Now, 19. As we see, we're in the neighborhood. So number 19, right? We got the Hit Squad. Now, I told you before in the part one of this, that ep.15, right? So I would stop after like maybe the third album of that movie and then spin it off to the Hit Squad movie, which would detail the Hit Squad and the breakup and everything else. That would be a dope movie and talk about their rise to fame with the Hit Squad. Redman, K-Solo, and Das EFX. Now this is before Keith Murray for the most part. You might see Keith Murray in it, but he wouldn't have a major role in it right now because he was Def Squad when they broke up. Right? 20. Rick Rubin. I mean, he's a legend, pioneer, say what you want. But he was the early part of Run DMC's career, so I would say maybe a spin-off of the Run DMC and Russell Simmons movie. We give Rick Rubin a movie. Alright, number 21. So now, let's do a movie on MF Doom. Starting when he was with KMD, when his name was Zevlov X. And started shoot it in Long Beach, Long Island, and you know, from there break down his struggles and his re-emergence and how he reinvented himself. I think that'd be really, really dope. Number 22, Cypress Hill. All right, now let's give it up. Cypress Hill was really one of the first people really talking about weed and marijuana and putting that on the forefront, and they were like the forerunners of that and trying to legalize it. And I think nowadays you got to give it to them with their fight to legalize marijuana, that they wanted the pioneers that were pushing that back in the 90s. Shout out Cypress Hill. 23. JT the Bigger Figure. See, a lot of y'all don't know about him. JT the Bigger Figure was from San Francisco. Pioneer, entrepreneur. He might not be a household name to some, but I know who he is. He does a lot of different movies. Very independent. Even from the beginning, he was independent or whatever. JT the Bigger Figure is definitely a pioneer in that Bay Area, so you definitely gotta give him his props, you know? Boom. Next, 24. I'm gonna say another name y'all may not know. Mac Dre. Right? Y'all don't know Mac Dre from the Nation of Islam. Once again, that Bay Area had that fizz movement going on, and he was the forerunner of that. He was in the forefront. Mac Dre, if I'm correct, he was very independent with it until his untimely demise. Number 25. And this goes without saying for all my people out there in New Orleans. You know, Master P, Baby and Slim, somebody do it. Somebody put out a motion picture presentation. And I think Master P should do it because Master P signed them on Soulja Slim. Come on, that's the Tupac of New Orleans. What are y'all doing, man? What are y'all doing? How y'all gonna let that slip by? And don't let no outsider do it. It's got to be someone from New Orleans that knows the flavor. But anyway, this is Boom Baptism. You know, taking a stroll through the neighborhood, letting you see where I live at in Charlotte, North Carolina, my adopted city. Shout out to Strong Island. Shout out the whole NYC. You know, if you like what I'm talking about, follow me on Instagram at Boom Baptism. You know, follow me on YouTube or subscribe to my channel on YouTube. I got more beat videos coming. I'm thinking about doing a beat CD. Also got merchandise coming. So yo, y'all stay up. On that note, I'm gonna say peace.